Okay, so I've analyzed 700 plus viral hooks from the top 30 creators and boiled them all down to one single formula that generates them millions of views and eventually converts to millions of dollars. I've analyzed all these creators' hooks here and even more that we don't see on this diagram and found the commonalities between all of their hooks to make one formula. And the problem with this, or the reason why I did this, is because all these creators preach different hook philosophies, frameworks, and psychology tactics. If you ever listen to their podcasts, YouTube videos, read their tweets about creating hooks, or even if you're like myself where I've taken these creators' courses to find out the information about their hooks, but I was always still left confused because everyone's giving different advice when it comes to these hooks. So what did I do? I've decided to spend hours, literally hours creating this video and researching the most viral content. And I wrote down all of their hooks. Yes, I wrote it down in a notebook, and I discovered 9 key elements that they all have. All these similarities that they have, there's 9 of them that allow them to produce winning hooks that ultimately leads to millions of views and eventually millions of dollars. But before I share the secret 9 key elements and winning formula that no creator is talking about, let me tell you a little bit about me. I myself had the opportunity to work with many amazing brands and influencers, helping them generate content for social media and more importantly, helping them generate revenue with organic content. We can see here, one of my top clients was Entrepreneur Media. We actually took them from a place where they're getting 20,000 views in a month to over 12 million views a month. And of course, creating hooks was a big part of that. Another one of our clients here is Robert Kiyosaki. We've helped them out with their short form content and developing info products to where they were making over $100,000 in a single day with all the marketing and content that we're creating for them. I've also worked with many other companies with their social media, CVS, Paramount Plus. Steve-O had the opportunity to help him out with his podcast, Wild Ride, and then also Jen Cohen. There's many others that aren't on this list. But today I'm more focused on helping creators add an extra $50,000 to $100,000 a month by developing online products through paid communities and world building. Through this, I've achieved over 90,000 followers on TikTok, 60,000 on Instagram, 800,000 views on one YouTube video. Here's my Instagram. You could check me out to make sure I'm legit. 60,000 followers here, as well as my creative agency was making $70,000 a month. A little bit of proof right here. And then recently, I just launched my own paid community and we made $20,000 in 30 days. This was actually nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. It actually went hand in hand with my creative agency where we're teaching people to edit, and this is what it is right here. So $23,000 in roughly 30 days, and it's called Leverage Editor, teaching editors how to create content for social media. This is a trial run for paid communities, and we're able to do $20,000 in 30 days. And as of right now, we're currently in the process of building some of the top creators' paid communities at the moment. So if you're looking for me to do that for you, just stay tuned to the end of this video, and I'll show you the next steps to take for you to be able to make $50,000 to $100,000 a month with paid communities. All right, so let's get into the actual secret formula. As I was saying before, every creator preaches one thing when it comes to making winning content, and that's the hook. The hook, the hook, the hook. That's all we hear them talk about, is if you don't have a good hook, then your video is not going to perform well. The retention rate isn't going to be good. People are going to drop off. And the most crucial part of your video is the intro. But as I was saying before, the problem is they are all telling you something different when it comes to the hook. Different frameworks, psychology tactics, whatever it is, you name it. They're all just preaching something different and they're all using different terminology for it. So I wanted to fix this problem. So I studied the winning content, found the commonalities and similarities between all of the hooks and boiled it down to the most powerful hook formula. And here's the formula right here. We got winning hook equals AP plus PT plus EE plus CP plus SN plus UT plus PS plus EM plus CC. Now I'm sure you're all like, what are all of these letters representing here? I'll be going over that in just a couple of seconds here, but we first need to lay down some ground rules. So I have 4 ground rules for you. Number 1, the formula works for YouTube video titles, first sentence of a video, first few sentences of a video. This might be more like a longer form type video, short form content, tweets, headers, you name it. Anything that where you're just trying to engage somebody right off the bat, this formula right here works for that. Number 2 is that these letters represent engagement elements. So all of these letters that you see here represent engagement elements, and I'll be going over what exactly are these engagement elements pretty soon. Number 3, the more engagement elements, the better chance you have going viral. Think of these engagement elements as ingredients to a recipe. The more you add into the recipe, the better the food is going to taste. So the more engagement elements that you add, the better the hook is going to be. And then number 4 here, the shorter the character or time of the hook or title, the better. So quick diagram right here. On the left, we got 5 engagement elements, AP, EE, CP, SN, and CC, but the hook length is 60 seconds. On the right here, we have 5 engagement elements, but the hook length is 30 seconds. By following the ground rules, this would be the better hook because it's shorter and it has the same amount of elements. Now, of course, the more engagement elements you add into your hook, the longer it will be. Just that's how things work, because the more things you put into it, the longer it will be. But if you can keep it short as possible with the most amount of engagement elements in there, then you're going to have a really solid winning hook. All right, so those are the ground rules. Now let's go over what are these engagement elements. Get your notepads out and write this down because, as I was saying before, this is probably one of the most powerful formulas when it comes to writing hooks and titles and all of that. I've done the painstaking work of literally writing down over 700 plus hooks and finding what all of them have in common and making that into a formula for you. So the first engagement element that we're going to start out with is AP. And AP equals audience pain point or desire. So you want to identify a specific pain point, desire, or challenge that resonates with the audience. And I'll be going over a bunch of examples soon to show you how these work in action, but let's go over this first just so you get a general idea of what these engagement elements are. PT, this equals a promise of transformation or improvement. So you want to promise a tangible outcome or a transformation that addresses the audience pain point or desire. EE equals evoke emotion. So here you want to use language or imagery that evokes emotion and captivates the audience's attention. And I'll show you how to make the most of this engagement element a little bit later as well. CP equals challenging a perspective. So present a viewpoint or idea that challenges the conventional thinking, stimulating thought and discussion. This is a really big one here. This engagement element here is often found in almost every single viral video that a creator has made. SN equals specificity and numbers. So you want to provide specific details, instructions, or numerical data to make the hook more tangible and actionable. A quick example of this is like 9 steps to do X. The number 9 is the specific number part. Next we have UT, and this equals urgency and timeliness. So here you want to create a sense of urgency or highlight the timeliness of the content to encourage immediate action. This could be like 9 steps or using you got 30 days to do something. PS equals personal story or experience. And this is just incorporating a personal story or some sort of experience that you have to establish some credibility and connection with the audience. Second to last here, we have EM, which equals empower and motivate. Offer empowerment or motivation by suggesting that the audience has the potential to achieve the promised transformation. This could just be like a quick example of if you go into monk mode, you can achieve the life that you want in 2025. So you're empowering them to do something, which is go into monk mode to achieve a specific goal. Last but certainly not least, you always want to be clear and concise. That's CC. So ensure the hook is clear, concise, and to the point, conveying the message efficiently without unnecessary fluff. This is where this kind of diagram here is, where you want to keep it as short as possible, but of course, implement as many engagement elements. And the clear and concise also can refer to making sure that the intro itself, yes, it could have a lot of engagement elements, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't make any sense, if it's not clear for the viewer, it's a bad hook. So clear and concise is always important. All right, so now that we went through the entire engagement elements, we are going to go through some examples to show you how the top creators are using this formula on every single title, intro, header, or whatever to engage you so that their video's retention rate is way up, which eventually leads to millions of views. And as I was saying before, millions of dollars. It starts with the hook. All right, so we got Iman Gadzhi right here. And here's a video title that he made. The Blueprint to $10,000 a month as a beginner, 2024. So let's go through and see what engagement elements are used. So we have AP, audience's pain point or desire. He's addressing a common pain point of an entrepreneur just starting out by stating $10,000 a month as a beginner. So you can come down right here and I have $10,000 a month as a beginner is AP, audience pain point or desire. So he's clearly addressing an entrepreneur here who is starting out and wants to make $10,000 a month. And if you're an entrepreneur, that's like the one thing that you really want. It's just, how can I get to $10,000 a month as a beginner entrepreneur? That's a desire that they have. So he's addressing that really well. Number 2 here is a promise of transformation, PT. He provides a tangible solution with the word blueprint, implying he will give you an actionable steps to achieve the desire of the viewer. So the word tangible, what is meant by that is it has to feel like something that you can hold. A blueprint is something that you can hold. A guidebook is something that you can hold. So it's a promise of transformation, but also using a tangible word or solution. And right here we have PT, blueprint is highlighted here. So that blueprint is almost like the steps, the transformation that you need. So he has that within his title. Number 3 here is SN, specific and numbers. So he uses 10,000. You'll see all the top creators use numbers within their titles and hooks. Something about numbers engages people right off the bat. So 10,000 is a number that he's using in his title. Have it highlighted right here, and that's SN. Number 4 is UT, urgency and time sensitivity. So when he uses 2024, this adds a sense of urgency. You know, right when he dropped this video was the beginning of 2004, and having that in the title makes someone think, oh my God, it's 2004. I have to know what this blueprint is to make $10,000 a month. It really adds that urgency and time sensitivity factor in there. Just a quick review here. This is the title, and this is all the engagement elements that he has in this short amount of time here, or is this short amount of characters. So we're going to also look at the hook continued. We're going to watch the video, but there's 2 things that he does that I want to cover real quick before we go ahead and watch it. And first is if you have a great title, you would want to repeat that in your video. This is for a couple of reasons. One, it has a lot of great engagement elements in there and it will work well as the first sentence within your video. And then the second, for YouTube videos at least, and I'll cover this a little bit later, but you want to make sure that the viewer's expectations of this title here is exceeded, and just by restating the title is one way to do that. Number 2 here is he then adds more engagement elements in one more sentence, and we're going to watch it real quick.
This is the blueprint to making $10,000 a month online as a beginner in 2024. And I'm going to walk you through the 9 steps to getting there. Now, step 1 is...
Okay. So that second sentence he said there is, I'm going to walk you through the 9 steps to getting there. He repeated that first line. This is the blueprint to make $10,000 a month as a complete beginner in 2024. And then he said, and then I'm going to walk you through the 9 steps to getting there. So the engagement elements that he has in just this one more sentence is SN, a specific number, and then also PT, a promise of transformation. 9 steps to getting to the desired of $10,000 a month. So 2 more engagement elements are added in another sentence. And that's why this video here is one of his highest watched videos. It has 1.5 million views. And also, if you review his other content, he follows this formula that I've made up a lot. He literally to the T, and he starts to bring other elements into it, like his personal stories, which is PS, which also comes along with challenging perspectives, PS, and empowering and motivating, EM. If you watch some of his content, you'll notice that he brings these other engagement elements into it quite often. Example number 2 here, we got Tai Lopez. Now I specifically chose this video for a reason. One, Tai Lopez has a lot of subscribers, but if you watch his content, it's not necessarily getting as much views as he had back in the day when he was really popular. And I do believe that the hooks he's using aren't the best, but he's still using some engagement elements in there that are still having them perform pretty well, but I want to show you how we can improve upon it. But first, let's look at the hook that he has here, or the title, and that is The Secret to the Good Life Never Talked About Before. And what engagement elements does he have in this title right here? Well, number 1, he has EE, evoking emotions. The phrase, the secret to a good life, evokes curiosity and desires, tapping into the very emotional state of the viewer by promising them some sort of insight into a better quality of life. So those couple of words there are just really diving into the emotional side, or it's making the viewer feel some type of emotion about like, well, man, what is that better quality of life? Like, what is he talking about? And that's highlighted right here with E, evoking emotion, this part. Number 2 is CP, challenging a perspective. So at the end, it says, never talked about before. And this is challenging a perspective by suggesting that the information he's going to share is unique or unconventional. Saying never talked before makes the viewer feel like this thing that he's going to share is some sort of secret as well, or is challenging some sort of common perspective on how to actually have a good life. because no one has ever shared it. Number 3, we got CC, clear and concise. Obviously, this is pretty clear and concise, short to the point. It's just another one thing that you want to have in there, another engagement element to follow. Pretty much all these titles also have clear and concise. But how can we actually improve this? Because this is a good title. It has some engagement elements in there, but compared to Iman Gadzhi's title, it doesn't have as much as Iman Gadzhi has. So what can we do to improve it? Well, we got SN, specificity and numbers. So what I would add is the 7 secrets. 7 is that specific number that engages the viewer a little bit more. The next engagement element is UT, which is urgency or timeliness. So we got the 7 secrets, which is a specific number, and then the urgency or timeliness of it to a good life by 2025. That's adding that urgency and time aspect to it. And of course, never talked about before. Keep that in there. And that would certainly improve the hook or the title of his video. All right, so the next example that we got here is a pretty interesting person. He's absolutely blowing up on TikTok. So this is a little bit different from just titles and YouTube videos. This is translating to short form content and how to use this viral hook formula. And Cardinal Mason, if you don't know him, he is a copywriter selling a copywriting course and literally making over $2 million a year by doing so. But as you can see here, he's absolutely popping off when it comes to short form content. Almost every single one of his videos gets over 30,000 views. And you can see here, we have some that with 400,000, almost 500,000, and then almost 1 million views right here. So check him out if you want to, but we'll go over one of his videos that has a really well-designed hook that follows this viral formula to the T. All right, so we're gonna watch it real quick here. This one actually has 5.4 million views.
A lot of people think you have to be a super genius engineer, doctor, lawyer to be making 100K a year. I dropped out of school twice. I look like a 14-year-old boy, and I don't know anything about life. All you have to do is follow these steps in order, and you'll make it work.
All right, so that video that we just watched is absolutely littered with the classic engagement elements within this formula. And we're gonna go over them right now to show you what tactics or what engagement elements is he using to where he got over 5.4 million views on a single video. All right, so the first is CP, challenging a perspective. So in the beginning, he's challenging a very common perspective that you don't have to be an engineer, doctor, or lawyer to make $100,000 a year. So most people think that, to be a successful person, you need to be a doctor or lawyer or engineer because those types of people make $100,000 a year. But he's telling you that you don't have to be one of those people to make that much money, which is challenging that common perspective. Number 2 here is the specificity and numbers. He states 100K, and we could also see right here he has text in the title where it has 100K. Number 3 here is his personal story. So he actually implements a little story in here. He tells you that he dropped out of school twice and that he looks like a 14-year-old boy. So he's implementing a little bit of that personal story to get more of a connection with the viewer. When that connection is made with the viewer, or when that viewer understands the person a little bit more, they're more likely to watch that video throughout because they feel like they connected a bit. Number 4 here is we have urgency and time sensitivity, UT. So it tells you that all you need to do is follow these steps in order. So he's creating some sort of timeline, some sort of urgency that, hey, all you have to do is follow this and you're going to get your dream state, your desired goals. Quick little recap, I've written it all out here. We have CP in the top here, which is challenging for the perspective. SN, the specificity and numbers here, 100K a year. And then the personal story where it tells you he dropped out of school twice and he looks like a 14-year-old boy. And then all you have to do is follow these steps in order, which is UT, urgency, and timeliness. Also, he has CP in the text title here where he says how to make 100K a year as a dummy. So he's challenging a perspective that you don't have to be a super smart person to make 100K a year. So he's using that engagement element in the text title here. All right, so there's actually some specific engagement elements that you want to use depending on the form of content that you're making. So short form, anything like a TikTok video, tweets, or IG reel, the main thing that you want to use is challenging a common perspective, CP. A lot of the short form content that goes viral, the whole premise of the video is literally just challenging perspective. And more importantly, the creator is stating that or challenging that common perspective in the very first sentence. And we're going to look at a case study here of Oren meets world. So Oren here is somebody who's pretty interesting. He's been absolutely killing it when it comes to short form content, and he's been growing like crazy. If we look at the numbers that he's pulling here, he's absolutely destroying it, and nothing's too crazy. Like the kind of content he makes isn't too crazy when it comes to edits. It's literally just him, a green screen, and showing cool pictures that are behind him. That's really all it is. So he really relies on having a really great script. And part of that really great script, of course, is the hook, the number one most important factor that's going to engage people right away. But yeah, let's go back and look at how he's using challenging a common perspective for his hooks. So he has this type of content that is called product versus brand. This is a little bit of a series he's doing where the entire premise of the video is where he's challenging a common perspective, whether you bought a product because it's actually a good product or you bought a product because of the brand and then the product's actually a bad product, but you're only buying it for some sort of status. Think like Stanley over Hydro Flask. A lot of people now are buying Stanleys because it's a status symbol, so they're buying it for the brand. In the beginning, his first sentence of all of these videos is, are you buying the product or are you buying the brand? So right off the bat, he's challenging some sort of perspective that you have towards a product or brand. And that's why these videos are doing so well, because the hook is great and then the video just follows him challenging that perspective. He also has this great video here called Fork Core. It has over 1 million views, and we're going to go ahead and watch this, and I'll show you how he's challenging that common perspective.
Let the creative director pick the cutlery. This holiday we're saying no to loud luxury, no vintage silverware, no Tiffany's or Versace, no gauche Christoffel. Instead, surprise your loved ones with a creative director spread.
So this video is pretty interesting here. And this is like all of Oren's videos. All of them really challenge a perspective right out of the gate. So with this, in the beginning, he says, this holiday season, we're saying no to luxury, no vintage silverware, no Tiffany's or Versace. So he's implying here that all the silverware that people have for the holidays is this loud luxury type silverware or some sort of vintage silverware. And he's saying no to that. He's saying no to what everybody has in their home. And then the rest of the video is him just giving these options for different type of silverware. And that's garnered him 1 million views. So if you go ahead and watch him on your own, you'll notice that every single video of his, every single hook of his is challenging a common perspective that people believe. And when you do this, it really just gets people's ears to perk up, be like, what is he saying? Why is he challenging this thing? And it really just drives in on that curiosity factor. What is he saying? He's going against the norm. Let me look at this. Like, why is he going against the norm? Why is he saying this? So that's what challenging the perspective does. His entire content is based off of that for the most part. It's awesome. I love him. Definitely check him out. So another example here, just to show you some tweets. Obviously, someone like Dan Koe, some of his top tweets are challenging a perspective. So we got one right here where he says, the most secure path is not the one you're assigned. It's the one you create. So he's challenging that perspective of the 9 to 5, where, you have your 9 to 5, you're assigned something to do by somebody else. And he's saying that that's not a secure path, where the common perspective is that a 9 to 5 is very secure. So he's challenging that. And he's saying the one that you create is the actual secure path. Meaning being an entrepreneur, creating your own assignments is the secure path. And that's not a common perspective. And that's why this tweet did so well. It's one of his highest performing tweets. We got another one here that says, most people never learn because they're trapped in tutorial hell. They learn all day and never learn a thing. So most people have the common perspective that watching tutorials is a great thing. You learn a lot from it and then you can implement it. But he's challenging that watching tutorials is a bad thing to do because you can get stuck just watching tutorials and never taking action. And most people think that watching tutorials, educating yourself by reading or watching YouTube videos is a great thing to do. And he's basically saying no to that. And that's why this is a very high performing tweet of his. So that's what tweets. Another great person that I like to watch is Kane Kallaway. A lot of his videos are challenging a common perspective as well. So we're going to watch this video real quick.
Something crazy is happening with live music.
Right there in the beginning. Something crazy is happening with live music. This is challenging a perspective that causes curiosity. Something crazy is happening. When saying a sentence like that, This means that something out of the normal is happening. It's challenging the normal thing that goes on, which taps into the curiosity of someone wanting to watch and figure out what is this crazy thing happening. So he's challenging a perspective here as well. A lot of his content has some sort of perspective or common thing that he is always challenging. Definitely watch him for inspiration on great hooks. He's really awesome. Okay, so that was some short form rules that we went over here. Let's go over some long form rules that are absolute must need to knows. All of the top creators are implementing these rules to maximize engagement and maximize their views. And this is some stuff that you might be missing in your content and wondering why it's not performing well. Well, here are some rules for you to follow. So number 1 is state a version of the title or thumbnail in the first 1 to 5 sentences. This is specifically for YouTube videos, but we've seen Iman Gadzhi literally do this in that example that we watched where he literally says, this is the $10,000 a month blueprint for beginner entrepreneurs. He literally stated the title of the video in his first sentence. And as I was saying before, this does a couple things. 1, it just has those engagement elements in it, so you obviously want to use it. And then number 2 is making sure you exceed the expectation of the viewer. So the title of the YouTube video and the first sentence, if those two things align, that means that the viewer's expectations were exceeded because they clicked on that video to learn a specific thing. And if you tell them that to make sure that, hey, you are going to learn the specific thing, which is the title, then their expectation is met there. Number 2 is adding your PS or personal stories, which allows for EM, empowering and motivating, to be written easily. So if you tell your personal story within your intro, this for one creates a connection between you and the viewer, but then this also allows room in there for you to motivate the viewer with your personal story. It could be as simple as, I was this lazy guy in college, I smoked weed all the time, I had $0 in my account, but through these 9 systems, these 9 steps, I was able to bring myself from rock bottom to making over $100,000 a month. And you can too if you're in that situation. That personal story allowed me to empower the viewer or motivate the viewer, telling them, hey, if you're in that situation, you can get through it just like I have gotten through it. Number 3 here is long form is great for adding as many elements as possible. It's okay if it's a little long. So if you're going with a long form video, newsletter, podcast, whatever it may be, whatever the intro is for the long form content that you're doing, it's okay if it's 45 seconds long. When it comes to short form content, if you really try to cram every single engagement element in there, then you lose the purpose of a short form video where, yes, you want to say your hook, but the best hooks are very short and it gets to the point of the video right away. For long form content, people are intentionally clicking on your video and they want to be brought through the story. So having a little bit more engagement elements within the hook allows for that buildup of connection and also curiosity. All right, so last but certainly not least, we have some hook enhancers. I want to save this for the last because you need to understand the viral formula, but these are also very important things that none of these, and I mean none of these creators are talking about. It's these hook enhancers. All of them, almost all of them, use this in every single video that they have or every single viral video that they have. There's some sort of hook enhancer. And what the enhancers do is it's basically a multiplier for the formula. It boosts the performance of all the engagement elements. So let's think of math terms. So if we go back to the formula here, we have AP plus PT plus EE. But what these enhancers do, if you use one of them, it will do like AP to the power of 2. It's multiplying that by the power of 2. It's basically like adding that into your formula and it makes the winning hook better. All right, so what are these enhancers? Well, number 1, we have power words. And in this case, power words are macro trending words that most people are automatically drawn to. So what are these like macro trending words? So some quick examples here. We have blueprint. We see an Iman Gadzhi use this. We have one person business. We see somebody like Justin Welsh, Dan Koe use something like this. We have synthesizer. Dan Koe uses this as well. And Andrew Kirby uses this. Solopreneur, creator operator, world building, challenge, full guide, red pill, secrets. So these words here are all something that if somebody sees this right away or hears it right away, they're automatically in tune to this word. They know what it is. There's some sort of bigger trend going on with these words here. And if you incorporate one of them into your hook or your title, it just multiplies the virality of that hook or title. Now, some bad power word examples are ones that don't fit the trend. So we have something like bargain. This is something that maybe in like the 1920s that you could have used. Man, that's a bargain. Like, get this bargain. That's a powerful word, but it doesn't fit in today's terms. It's something that's very old and doesn't really have an effect on somebody. Expert, this is an overused word. Sale, we hear this all the time, overused. It's not really trending. Free, hear that all the time as well. Basically these words are out of trend. So you want to avoid these kind of words and look for words like this. Another great example is productized service. That's a very trending phrase or a couple of words. So you can consider that a powerful phrase. So the second enhancer here is credibility hacking. So what credibility hacking is, it's when you use a commonly known person, place, or thing that automatically gets the viewer in tune. This is a little bit different from power words. It's more so a person like Taylor Swift talking about the Super Bowl, Travis Kelce, Stanley Cup, Yeti. These are people that are trending or a lot of people really know about. That's automatically going to tune them into the video. So if I said Stanley Cup made $100,000 a month, well, people know who Stanley is, so they're most likely going to watch that video because they can associate Stanley. And what that is really tapping into people's familiarity bias. It's where our brains are naturally drawn to whatever we're familiar with. If we go over back to Kane Kallaway, he's somebody who uses this a lot. We can see here like McDonald's, Wendy's, Chipotle, Starbucks. Up top here, we can see Louis Vuitton, Stanley. So he's using the credibility of these brands or these people and implementing it into his hooks. Another quick example of this just to show you. So hook number one that doesn't have any familiarity bias in it. This hook is, here's how to do your taxes. All right, it's a hook, whatever. The second hook here, which does have that familiarity bias where it says, here's how Elon Musk does his taxes. People are automatically going to watch this video more because they're familiar with Elon Musk. It's that connection aspect to it. People want to watch whatever they're familiar with. And then the third enhancer here is metaphors. And this is for long form only. Think like newsletters or sometimes YouTube videos. So if you use a metaphor, this helps the viewer understand what the video is about. This will keep them engaged longer. So if the viewer can really understand what the entire premises of the video is or what you're even talking about, because if they don't understand what the video is even about or what you're even talking about, they're just going to swipe away forever. And using metaphors is a great way to make a connection in your viewer's head. And this is very hard to do in a short form as a quick metaphor could cause the viewer to get lost in that fast-paced moving video. So try to avoid using metaphors in a short form video. Of course, there's nuances to it, but do as you please. All right, and that's pretty much it when it comes to the viral formula. Like I said, I've analyzed over 700 hooks, and this is everything that all the top creators are implementing into their titles, their hooks, intros, whatever it may be. It's this formula. And if you use this for anything that you create, it's going to boost your video's retention rate dramatically. So make sure to implement that. And one more thing here, if you really valued this video and you're a creator between 10,000 to 100,000 followers and you're trying to add an extra $10,000 to $50,000 a month monetization channel, then my team here is looking for a couple of individuals to launch their digital product and paid community. At the moment, we're only accepting those who meet certain requirements, and then you'll be able to be let into our exclusive community of top creators. We have some pretty big people in there. And what our team will do for you is help you build a digital product and community with all the lead nurturing systems, as well as handle the community operations, basically the business operations, and you just focus on doing what you do best, which is create content. So if you want to earn an extra $10,000 to $50,000 a month monetizing your following, then join our waitlist to see if you qualify. Like I said, this is very limited and we're only accepting a few amount of people, as we can pretty much guarantee that you'll make an extra $10,000 to $50,000 a month. So link for that is in the description, and we'll let you know if we can let you in our exclusive community and help you out in gaining a new monetization channel. With that, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.